All right, if you're studying BTech Sport, you are in exactly the right place. We're about to go deep on something pretty amazing, the long-term changes that exercise makes to your body. We're talking way beyond just the sweat and tired muscles. We're talking about how you are literally re-engineering yourself from inside out.
Seriously, have you ever wondered about that? Because when you stick with the training plan, it's not just about getting fitter on the surface. Something incredible is happening deep inside. So we're going to take a tour of that whole process and check out all the awesome upgrades your body gives itself to become, well, the stronger, more efficient machine.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We'll start with the body's blueprint, then jump into the endurance engine, building strength, going the distance, and flexibility. And this is the big one. We'll wrap up by showing you how all this helps you absolutely crush it in your exam.
Okay, first things first, let's just be clear on what we mean. When we say long-term adaptations, we're not talking about feeling out of breath after one run. Nope, we're talking about the deep, fundamental changes that happen over weeks, even months, of sticking with it. That's where the real transformation is.
Right, let's get into it. First up, the endurance engine. You know, aerobic stuff. This is all about getting better at handling oxygen, getting it in, moving it around, and putting it to work. Why? So you can keep going and going and going.
So the biggest, most important change here is something called cardiac hypertrophy. Sounds super scientific, right? But honestly, it's simple. Think about it. Your heart is a muscle. And just like any other muscle, like your biceps, if you work it out, it gets bigger and stronger. That's it.
And this shows you exactly what we mean. A bigger, stronger heart can squeeze with way more force. This boosts what we call your stroke volume, which is just the amount of blood it shoves out with every single beat. A more powerful pump makes for a much more efficient engine, right?
Okay, now this is where it gets really cool, because all these changes are connected. They create this amazing cycle. So your heart gets stronger, that's cardiac hypertrophy, which means a bigger stroke volume. And because your heart is now pumping more blood with each beat, guess what? It doesn't have to beat as often when you're just chilling out. Meanwhile, your breathing muscles, like your diaphragm, are getting stronger too. So you pull in more air with every breath. And on top of that, you build more tiny blood vessels around your lungs' air sacs, the alveoli, to grab that oxygen more efficiently. It's like a complete system-wide upgrade for delivering oxygen.
And the best part? You can actually see this happening. That lower resting heart rate you might notice on your smartwatch, that's not just a random number. It's real, solid proof that your training is working and your whole cardiovascular system is getting way more efficient.
All right, so we've talked about the engine. Now let's talk about the framework, the muscles and bones. We've done endurance. So what happens when you start focusing on strength and power? You know, lifting heavy.
Well, the one everyone knows about is muscle hypertrophy. It's the fancy name for what we all see, your muscles getting bigger. This is pretty much the main way your body reacts when you put it under the stress of weight training.
So how does it actually happen? Well, when you lift weights, you're actually creating these tiny little tears in your muscle fibers. And your body's response is amazing. It doesn't just patch them up. It goes, okay, we need to be ready for that next time, and it rebuilds them bigger and stronger than they were before. That's muscle growth.
But here's something really important. It's not just about your muscles. Your entire support structure gets an upgrade. The stress from training actually makes your tendons and ligaments stronger, and even your bones get in on the action. They actually become denser and tougher. It's like you're reinforcing the whole building, not just painting the walls.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit to muscular endurance. This isn't about that one single massive lift. This is all about your muscles' ability to just keep on going, contracting over and over for a long time. Think about rowing or cycling or doing a set with lots of reps. And the absolute key to this is something called capillarisation. It's a bit of a mouthful, but the idea is simple. Imagine your muscle fibers are little factories. Well, capillaries are the tiny roads that bring in fuel and take out the waste. Endurance training basically tells your body, hey, we need more roads, a whole new highway network to keep those factories running.
And on a microscopic level, this is what you get. A super dense network of these little blood vessels. That means you can get oxygen and fuel to your muscles way faster, and you can get the garbage, like lactic acid, out of there quicker too. That improved supply chain is exactly why you can push through fatigue and keep going for longer.
All right, let's touch on something that sometimes gets forgotten, flexibility. It's so easy to skip stretching, right? But it is absolutely crucial, not just for performance, but for keeping injuries at bay and just moving better in general.
And when you're consistent with it, it makes a huge difference. Your muscles, your tendons, they all learn to lengthen and relax a bit more. What you get from that is a much better range of movement in your joints. And that, in turn, means you can move more efficiently and even more powerfully.
Okay, let's bring this all home. Knowing all this cool science is one thing, but for your BTech exam, you've got to be able to explain it clearly. That's how you nail those marks.
So, check this out. Here is a totally typical 3-mark question. See how it asks you to do 3 things? Define the term, explain what's happening, and then link it to an athlete. So how do we tackle this to make sure we get every single mark? Boom! Here's the magic formula. First mark, just state the fact. Clean and simple. Second mark, explain the science behind it. What does it actually mean for the body? Third mark, you connect it all back to the athlete. How does this help them perform better? Just remember, statement, explanation, application. That's the golden ticket.
Okay, let's try it again. Same formula, different question. This time, we're looking at the muscular system and strength training.
And look at that. It's the exact same pattern. Point 1. What's the trigger? The micro tears. Point 2. What's the body's reaction? Repair and growth, or hypertrophy. And point 3. What's the result for the athlete? They can produce more force. Simple. Stick to that structure and you'll be flying.
So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? It's that exercise isn't just an activity you do, it's a process. You are actively re-engineering your own body. Every single workout you stick with is a message you're sending to your whole system to get stronger, more efficient, and tougher.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. Once you understand the why behind all this, the science of how your body adapts, training stops being just a chore, right? It becomes this incredible project. So now that you know what's possible, the only question left is, what challenge are you going to give your body next?